So a block, if you've got one, a pile of cushions might do the job. As I said, it's not for necessarily sitting on, but maybe as a support. So today we will begin in a extended child's pose. We won't stay in that for too long. So if when you do have knee issues, this is causing you trouble, there's the first good idea to pop a rolled up blanket, towel, or a cushion between the legs, so that some of that pressure is just simply taken off. If you don't have any of those items, but you do have a block, the block there could do the job as well, as it just elevates the hips a little bit and might give you some release. However, if things don't work the way I suggest, or in any way that you feel they might, you can always roll on your back and hug the knees into the chest instead, which will give you a similar feeling as in curling yourself a little bit inwards. So let us begin with the arms reaching gently forward and maybe lowering the upper body. There's no rules for your knees either. They can be close, they can be wide, and you could use another support if the head down on the floor isn't quite right yet, by placing fists underneath and resting the forehead onto a support. As we were just talking about finding a little bit more inner freedom and giving yourself some permission when you are feeling alone, not as in lonely, but alone and no one's watching. I would love you to just have a look inside and notice how this shape is actually going for you. So while last week I was touching on the topic of ahimsa, which mostly is translated into non-violence, non-harming, this week we were looking at the second yama, which is Satya. And Satya is a truth or truthfulness. So when you think about these first two, they can't really be separated. One might reach a little bit further than the other, but they're kind of attached to each other. So I will share with you, while you're resting in this shape, the words that Desikacha has chosen to describe Satya. Satya means to speak the truth. Yet it's not always desirable to speak the truth, come what may, for it could harm someone unnecessarily. We have to consider what we say, how we say it, and in what way it could affect others. If speaking the truth has negative consequences for another, then it's better to say nothing. Satya could never come into conflict with our efforts to behave with ahimsa. An Indian epic called the Mahabharata says, "Speak the truth which is pleasant. Do not speak unpleasant truths. Do not lie, even if the lies are pleasant to the ear. That is the eternal law, the Dharma." We'll explore this concept throughout our practice, and we will reflect a little bit more on it as we then come into our relaxation at the end of the class. Maybe asking yourself during the practice on the mat, as you will have only one person to talk to, and that is yourself internally. If you're applying these principles of truthfulness, considering that truth to be non-harming toward yourself. So as you are next inhaling, let your arms extend fully and lift your head just a little bit off the ground. Then rise up onto your fingertips and lengthen through your spine, bringing your gaze lightly forward to the place between your hands. And as you're next inhaling, take your right hand off the ground and extend the arm backwards and maybe follow it with your gaze. So you're coming into a light twist. You're on the fingertips of the left hand and you're reaching out into the fingers of the right. And with the next exhale, curl that arm back in and rest onto the right hand fingertips as well, centering your upper body, allowing the shoulders to be soft. And when you're next inhaling, let the left hand come off the floor, extend the arm backwards, maybe follow it with the gaze, spread out into your fingers. And to release it, do so with an out breath. You might have to adjust yourself a little bit. I will step right over to the right end of my mat with my knees and then drop the left side of the hip down. Or in other words, I'm rolling over onto my left-hand side and I'm extending my arms in front of the shoulders. So now I'm lying on my left side. My knees are still bent. I'm kind of representing still Balasana or child's pose. And with the next inhale, I let my right arm slide up the left, cross over the chest, and I go into a twist. And on the out breath, I will bring the hands back together. I invite you to do that twice more. On the inhale, sliding right hand up the left arm, crossing over the chest, opening into a twist. And on the out breath, bringing the palms of the hands to touch again. We'll do that for one more round. On the inhale, slide your arm across and open, and this time stay here on the out breath, just allowing yourself to rest for a moment within this twist. Then let's roll down onto the back. Bringing your feet and knees together. Either keep your arms out or place your fingers behind your head. I'm just asking you to keep twisting now as we're rolling the legs from side to side. Ideally, they don't drift apart, so the legs stay glued together, the feet stay glued together. And we're just bringing some movement now in towards the lower part of the back. And we will then, after a few rounds, lift the feet off the floor, lift the feet a little bit higher, flexing through the ankles, squeezing the knees together, and then we continue that sideway movement. Right into the mid-back, trying to keep your shoulders on the ground, and that determines the range of movement that your body has right now. When you come over to your right, tuck your feet in, push your hips a little bit over, and then roll all the way over onto the right-hand side. Extending your arms again out at shoulder height, touching the palms together, knees nice and comfortably in the bend, head resting. And when you next inhale, let your left hand slide up the right arm, brush over the chest and extend over to the left hand side. And when you're exhaling, bring the palms of the hands to touch again. We'll repeat that twice more. On the inhale, Slide your hand across, open the body. On the out breath, touching the palms again. And one last time on the in breath, slide across to open. And then hold here as you're breathing out. Notice how far you can reach today, how this feels in the body. And then rolling again onto your back. Maybe aligning yourself right to the center of the mat. Placing your fingers behind the head if that's not possible. Please leave your arms out wide. And bringing both legs up into the air. Take again a flexion into the ankles, drawing your toes gently down towards the knees. If this gets too strong for you, you can modify, you can bend your knees if need be. Engaging now your lower abdomen on the out breath and lowering the right leg down just above the ground or less. On the inhale, bring the leg back up. Repeat that with the left leg. Keep your foot in flexion, control over the leg as you lower down. And on the in-breath, bring it back up. So on the exhale, the lower belly is on, drawing in towards the tailbone. And on the inhale, we're lifting the leg again. Exhaling, lower the left. Inhaling, lifting it up. Keep going just like that. Find stability in the upper body and only moving one leg at a time. Once more on each side. And then bending your knees and giving them a good squeeze in. So we're returning to a recline child's pose variation, and you could rock the body a bit from side to side. Your choice then to fall over to one side or to rock your body forward and backward a few times. So you might be able to come up into sitting. From sitting, we will find our way straight up into a standing position. So do take your time to get there. I'm very optimistic that we're getting warm. So I will remove the top layer. And whenever you reached your standing position, I'll ask you to consider maybe a hip distance stance, just so it's nice and solid. Lightly soften through your knees. And with the next inhalation, just reaching the arms up, maybe lifting the gaze. Keeping your knees soft as you breathe out. Draw the hands through the midline, but tuck the chin in and roll the whole spine down towards the floor. As you inhale, find a half lift position. And as you exhale, open your knees and come into a squat. It's your choice how high or low the squat might be. As you take an inhale here, and then on the exhale, push down into your feet, raise back up, turn your toes forward and inhale as we're extending the body again. Bringing your hands through the midline, knees are soft, chin tucks in, so we're really rolling down rather than folding downwards. As we reach towards the floor, half lift on an in-breath. You might turn your toes out and squat again, as high or as low as feels right for you. No pressure here as you inhale, lengthen your spine. And then on the exhale, push the floor away with your feet, turn the toes forward as you inhale to extend again. We'll do that one more time. We're drawing our hands through the midline, tucking the chin in, rolling down into a forward bend. On the inhale, lengthening the spine for a half lift. And you turn your toes outwards. On the exhale, find your squat standing or all the way down. Inhale. And as you exhale, push the floor away, rising up again. Take a breath in, extend the arms once more, lifting through the gaze. And then as you breathe out, bring the hands down in front of your heart. We will use the mat for now in its width. So what I'd ask you to do is just step the feet out about 1 meter apart to begin with. Turning your right toes outwards. So they're realigning and facing the shorter end of the mat. I will ask you to take the back foot and turn its heel lightly outwards. So there's no straight alignment between the heel and the arch. The heel of the back foot is outwards, so we've got an angle there for the leg. Now turn yourself towards the straight leg in front. Taking an inhale as we're lifting both arms up again. And then we're doing the same that we did from a mountain. Bring the hands down through the midline. As we tuck the chin in, roll down, but you can slide your hands down the leg to wherever you find is comfortable for you. Then take an inhale and lengthen into a half lift. This is where I would ask you to pause. Notice if you are leaning into the right knee. If you are, engage the right thigh. Rotate a bit so the knee aligns with your toes. Then touch the palms of your hands together and place both hands on the inside of the right leg. Now take a look down at your hands. And with the inhalation, slide the hand up the right arm, cross over the chest, and extending the arm upwards. And as you're breathing out, roll through all the joints and touch the palms of the hands together again. Realigning your stance potentially before you inhale again. Bring your hand across the arm, extending upwards. And then rolling back in as you're breathing out. You're now getting what I'm after. So I invite you to repeat that for 3 more rounds. Stay in touch with your body as you inhale to open. And then roll back down through all of the joints until the palms are touching again. Establishing a long, deep, full yogi or ujjayi breath as we're extending and lowering. When you come to the last one, I'll ask you to hold. So holding in the openness, if the upper arm extended is too much, place the hand into the side of the waist. Notice where the front leg is positioned. If you're hanging down, very likely extend your body a little as we find Trikonasana, or hold in the triangular shape. As you're next inhaling, bring a bend into the right knee. And as you're exhaling, push yourself up to stand, arms out to shoulder height. Then release the arms down. We will turn our feet forward now. And then a little bit out towards the sides, preparing ourselves for a goddess pose. With the inhale, reaching the arms up. And then cactus arms as you're breathing out for a strong person. Stands bending the knees. Now, stands to be a little bit wider without falling over. And then place your hands down on top of your thighs. If you find this is low enough, stay here. Otherwise, lean a little bit deeper and place the forearms down onto your thighs. We'll go into an arm movement. We'll use the right arm, and as you inhale, brush the hand over the head, And as you're exhaling, extend your right leg as you're pushing over with the right hand. We're bending the knee again. As you inhale, swing your arm in front, brush over the head. And as you're exhaling, extend your right leg and press out into the right hand. So do that again, bending, inhale, swing the arm around the head. Exhale as you extend and push out to the side. Just 2 more here. Inhale, bend both knees, arm brushes over the head. On the exhale, extend the arm, extend the leg. Last one, inhale, and then exhale, pause. See if you can look over towards the right hand fingertips. Before you bend the right knee again, bringing the right hand or forearm on top of the thigh. So we're back in the middle of our stance, and we'll change sides now. As you inhale, brush with your left hand over the head. And while you exhale, extend the left leg and push out through the left arm. On the inhale, bend the knee again, swing your arm down in front. On the exhale, extend and push. Bend, inhale, swing. Exhale, push. There is 3 more to go. So I think you might have that movement now in your body. As you apply it with a full breath in and a full breath out. And for that last one, we will pause again where the leg is extended, the arm is extended, you're reaching over into the fingertips. And then we will bend both knees again, forearms coming down, or the hands, of course. I know we've got a quite strong stance here. Let's see if we can lift back up, keeping the knees bent, opening the arms out one more time, and maybe sinking a little bit further into the legs. Then push down into the feet. Reach your arms out, inhale and exhale. Let's lower the arms. Might want to have a little here. And then turning your left toes towards the short end of the mat. And as you do so, turning the right heel out. So we've got that slight inward rotation of the right hip happening. That might then in turn allow us to turn the body over. So we're facing towards the left-hand side. And with the in-breath then lifting your arms up, lifting your gaze. We'll draw a hand through the midline, tucking the chin in, and you can let your hands slide all the way down the left leg. Just noticing how far can you go. Is there a need to adjust your stance? And with the next inhale, then lengthening your spine. Holding here. If possible, touch the palms of your hands and place them both to the inside of your left leg. Now, lower your gaze towards your hands. On the next in-breath, let the right hand brush up the left arm over the chest and then extend into triangle. And on the out-breath, come through all of those joints again before the palms touch again. We're looking down. On the inhale, hand brushes up the arm, crosses the chest, extends up to the ceiling. On the exhale, rolling in through the joints. You've got 3 more to go. Please apply full yogi or ujjayi breath to this movement. So we've got plenty of time for the movement itself. There is that option of holding in Trikonasana at the end of your last movement. And if the arm extended is not yours, you can place the hand into the side of the waist. Start to notice that the front leg might be locked. Engage the thigh, rotate so the knee is facing forward in line with the toes. Lengthen through both sides of the waist as you find your triangle. One more breath here. And then as you take your next inhale, bend into the front knee, push up as you breathe out. Then release your arms down and turn your feet back to face the front. We'll turn our toes out one more time. As you allow the toes to open again, take a breath in and lift your arms too. We'll come back to the strong person stance in our goddess pose as we bend our knees and the elbows. At this time, we will just rest the hands down onto the tops of the thighs and lean our spine forward. Keep the knees in a deep bend. We want to strengthen the legs today, but also lengthen your spine towards the front. Now, release both hands from your thighs. If that works for you, you could choose to just move one arm too. And as you're inhaling, let's extend the left arm back and the right arm forward. And then we will swap sides. Inhale as you come through the center and exhale for extending, because there's a lot of strength needed internally as you're extending one arm forward and one back. Keep a deep bend in your knees, keep the length in your spine. With that, as you continue your movement, one arm back, one arm forward, you're engaging the lower abdomen in direction of the tailbone on the out breath, and you can relax the belly a little on the in breath. Can you go for 2 more with each arm? It's your pace. Keep the length in your spine, more important than moving both arms. Keep the neck long. The head could be quite heavy in this shape. And then once you've completed, rest the hands back down on top of your thighs. Keep the spine long for a tiny bit longer. Turn your heels out, lengthen your legs, and then release your hands down towards the floor and let the upper body hang down for Practised Kaputanasana, or the wide-legged forward fold. Your hands can rest underneath your shoulders, and you can lift the shoulders ever so slightly into the shoulder sockets. Your gaze could be down to the floor, or more comfortable for the neck, all the way backwards, behind through your legs, as you shift the weight forward within your feet, allowing the tailbone to be the highest point and re-engaging here into the lower belly on each out breath to deepen the shape. Stay with that. 3 full breaths. Once you've completed the 3 breaths, you can walk or heel and toe your feet gradually back in towards hip distance. And once you reach there, let your hands slide up to a half lift as you're breathing in. And on the out breath, then just plainly folding forward. Take an inhale here as you might shake the head to release. And then engage your lower belly muscles when you're exhaling to roll yourself back up into standing. So once we come to stand, we will change our direction and we will step to one of the shorter ends of the mat. So now we've got space behind us. Let us take a breath in and lift up through the arms again. On the out breath, bring your hands to touch. Soften your knees and curl your way down towards the floor. On the inhale, lengthen forward into a half lift. And on the exhale, stepping your left foot back into a lunge. Grounding your heel to the floor. We're very familiar with the movement, both hands touching on the inside of the leg as you straighten the front leg. And on the inhale, then open this up into triangle pose. Pause on the out breath. On the inhale, bend into the right knee and push the floor away on the out breath to find the warrior two. On the inhale, an exalted warrior as we're leaning this backwards. With the next inhale, straighten the right leg too, but keep your upper body in the same shape. An exalted triangle. Now from this place, bend both of your knees. Let your upper arm curl in. Let the hands swing around to place the hands down either side of the front foot. Lifting your left heel, come up onto your fingertips. Pull the right hip back, the left heel backwards. Gaze might be lightly in front. Then stepping the foot back into our first downward facing dog. Body might be ready for it, but if you feel a movement would be beneficial, go for the movement. With the next breath in now, let's roll the spine forward and come into a plank or a kneeling plank. And on your out breath, make your way down onto the mat. Our first cobra, as we inhale, wave up through the upper body. Feet are grounded down actively, hands can be on or off the mat. Hold here for another breath. And then when you're inhaling, push the floor away and stretch your hips back for the extended child's pose. Let's rise back up onto the fingertips here, lengthening the spine forward, maybe bringing the gaze lightly towards the front. On your next inhale, let your left arm extend backwards and follow it with the gaze as you pause here. Then release that hand back down. Spread both hands, fingers and palms down onto the mat. And with the next inhale, come to all fours, either to stay here or tuck the toes under and round your spine up for a down dog. We will lift our left leg up. Bring a bend into the left knee. Keep the strength in both of your arms, but open your knee out to the side. And then start to circle this knee out towards the side. Bring some extra movement into the hip. You can have a little bounce into the right leg as you go about, and you might do about 3 to 5 circles there before you pause. And then change the direction of those circles. And again, potentially doing between 3 and 5 circles of the hip in the other direction. And then you find your pause again, realigning your shoulders. Now let's press out through the heel of the foot while extending the leg. Hip is still open. Then point the foot. And as you're breathing out, aiming with your foot between your hands. Come onto fingertips and lengthen your back. And as you're breathing out, stepping the feet together at the front end of your mat and lowering your gaze down. Half lift on the in-breath. Folding again deeply on the out-breath. Let's open the toes up, come into your squat as we're lengthening the spine. Inhale. And on the exhale, push the floor away. Rise up to stand, turn your toes forward, extend your arms towards the ceiling. And then bring the hands through the midline. Knees soft, chin tucks in, and roll back down towards the floor. On the inhale, lengthening the spine forward, half lift. Exhale now, step your right foot back into a lunge. Find your length as you lower the heel towards the floor. Bring both hands to touch on the inside of the left leg. And as you begin to straighten the leg, take an inhale and let the right arm brush along the left arm, extending back to Trikonasana. So nice and open, the gaze might have opened, but you could also look up or down, depending on where you're at. While you're next inhaling, bring a bend into the left leg. And as you exhale, push through that foot for Warrior Two. When you then inhale, exalt the warrior. So the left arm is reaching up, the right arm is reaching down. On the next inhale, straighten the front leg. Find a more firm stance through both of your feet. Upper body is unchanged. To release it, bend both of your knees. Roll the upper arm and shoulder in, swirl your arms around, place them down either side of the foot, lift the right heel. Inhale, find your length. Exhaling, step the foot back into a downward dog or all-four stance. As we inhale, roll the spine forward into a plank or kneeling plank. Your choice to go into up dog or come with me as you breathe out to lower down fully onto the mat. On the inhale then, finding a cobra, hands on or off the mat, holding up dog or cobra. And with the next inhale, pushing the floor away. And if you're on your toes, drop the knees down. We're extending again into Balasana, child's pose. Let's rise back up onto the fingertips and lengthen our spine forward. Let the shoulders be at ease. Lift your gaze lightly towards the front hand. And when you're next inhaling, let the right arm open and move backwards as you might follow it with the gaze and pausing in that twist of the child. As we release the hands back down, coming back onto our fingertips, then spreading the fingers out, grounding down through the palms, pads of the fingers. And with the inhale, coming back up onto all fours. Your choice to remain here or the down dog as you're exhaling. On your next inhale, lifting the right leg up. Bend the right knee and open the knee out sideways. Maintain strength through both of your arms. And we'll go for 3 to 5 circles of the right knee in the air. Yours, which direction you're moving towards, knowing that you have your own preferences there. And then pausing and changing direction as you go for another 3 to 5 rounds in the opposite direction. Once you have completed, and never a need to rush, just hold the knee open, weight in the arms evenly, shoulders parallel, and then flex the foot As you extend out through the heel of the foot, keeping the hips open, then point the toes, and as you exhale, bring or help your foot forward. Rising up onto the fingertips as we're inhaling, and on the exhale, stepping forward. On the inhale now, find a half lift. And as you breathe out, go into your squat as you're opening knees and toes. Lengthen through the spine while you're inhaling. And then use the feet underneath as you're breathing out to push up and inhale as you turn toes forward, lifting the arms. And on the out breath, just taking your hands down in front of the heart. Then you might even release the arms down by the sides. Steady your gaze or close the eyes. Rest in mountain pose. Noticing how you are feeling right now. The sensations that might be here. How your internal self-conversation is going. Move again from here. We'll start our movement from a balance this time. So finding your way through this. As we inhale, fly the arms out, bend your knees. We'll start with eagle pose. We will lift our left leg up and we'll cross that left leg over the right. We let the left arm come under the right, either to hug our shoulders or to bring the palms of the hands together. Allowing yourself to squeeze your arms and legs close while the elbows are a bit away from the chest. As you find your balance here, you could have your big toe on the ground or keeping the foot floating. Your eagle shape. As we'll move the eagle, let's take a breath in and lift the left leg. Do flex the foot. And while you're breathing out, tilt this forward towards a warrior three. Point your left toes and aim to land the left foot down, but also the left knee. Lifting up through the elbows as we're extending into the shape. You could entirely hold here if this is yours. Otherwise, unwind your arms, reach them up as you inhale, and let your left hand come all the way down, either towards the heel or into the lower back, extending into half camel shape. We will release both hands down now, either side of the front foot. And we will slide this right foot back in an all-four stance. Take a long inhale here, align your hips. And as you're breathing out, bring the right knee into the chest. And now place the right knee down behind your right wrist. As you cross your foot a little bit over to the left. Now, if you need to roll onto your back, this is going to become a Kapadaracha Kaputanasana or the half pigeon pose. You can lie on your back or slide the left leg out. Please be mindful that the right knee stays aligned with the right hip rather than going out towards the sides. If that is difficult, keep your right foot in a little bit closer. Come up onto your fingertips. Notice how you're feeling. How can you extend? How can you lift through the sternum as you might lift your gaze up? If you need any support, this is why I asked you to have a block or cushions nearby. You might pop that underneath the right side of the buttocks which also potentially releases some stress in the knee joint. And when you're next exhaling, maybe lower down. You can step firmly onto your hands. You could also lower down to your forearms. And once you've accessed the shape here, and notice how you're going with that, you could extend the arms even and rest the forehead down, or use another block to rest your forehead on. Notice if there's any stress in the body. There would be an extension that you can feel, but I'm hoping that there's no stress happening within the body. If there is, find a way to release that. Maybe prop yourself up a little bit higher or roll onto your back. Close your eyes and maintain an inner steady gaze point while you observe yourself. Observing again the thoughts that cruise through the mind. Notice if you have a tendency to hold on, be that to thoughts that are potentially harmful, be that somewhere in the physical body. Notice if your out-breath is a helper here to allow you to release more deeply, whether that's the thought or the body. To release today, roll onto the right side of the hip. Step your hands up towards your knee, and then bring your left foot forward. And you could place your left foot down in front of the right shin for a twist, or you could bring the foot around to the outside of the leg. Just making sure that you're evenly seated on both sit bones. Let's take a hold of the left knee and lengthen our spine. If you need a bit more gentleness today, you can always turn towards the open side. Otherwise, place your left hand fingertips lightly behind. And when you're breathing out, you can use the hand on the knee to help you into the twist. And then you get choices, such as wrapping your elbow around the knee, bringing the knee in a little bit more closely. I personally quite enjoy that, as it brings a bit of a stretch also into the left glutes while massaging the abdominal organs. But if you are into deeper twists and maybe even binds, please go further. And then allow yourself to breathe. With the next inhale now, turn the head forward. And with the exhale, bring the hands down onto the floor. If it's possible for you, unwind yourself now into a standing forward fold. You can have as many steps there. It doesn't have to look elegant, just finding your way. And then using the lower belly muscles once more to breathe out and just curl yourself up to standing. Giving the shoulders a gentle shrug back as you arrive in your stance. We'll change towards the other side. So while you take an in-breath, bend your knees and lift your arms out towards the sides. We'll bring the right knee up from here to cross the leg over the left. You can hug your legs together or touch your big toe to the floor. Then take your right arm under the left for a shoulder hug or your eagle arms. Let your shoulders be relaxed in the sockets, but the elbows a bit forward. And maybe squeezing arms and legs actively together for Garudasana, the eagle. We'll change our position, but we're keeping the arms. On the inhale, lifting the right knee, flex through the foot, and start a slow transition that looks like a warrior 3 variation, as you're leaning the upper body forward and extending out through the heel of the foot. Then point your toes, landing the toes down first, maybe then landing the knee down and beginning to lift through the elbows as we're extending the front body. You can choose to hold here or unwind the arms and breathe in to lift them both up. And as you're breathing out, you can circle the right arm back, either fingertips to the heel or hand into the lower back for a half camel. Keep that lift through the heart space. And on the next out breath, releasing your hands down onto the mat, either side of your front foot. Let that left foot sweep along the floor and extend in all fours, but just 3 limbs on the ground. Point out through your toes, be strong, hips and balance. And when you're next exhaling, take your nose together underneath. And then aim to land the left knee behind the left wrist. Bring the left foot a little bit across to the right and start to slide the right leg out. Otherwise, you might roll back onto your back with the left knee hugging in. Once you've extended the leg backwards, have a little check. Hip and left knee aligned. Where the left foot is can be very close to the hip or further forward to the front end of the mat. Then come up onto your fingertips, just exploring the extension. Same as in the camel, see if you can lift through the heart. Front of the heart opening, the back of the heart lifting upwards. And if you're feeling all right with this, you can plant the hands down or lower to the forearms, and then have a little check-in with yourself. Notice how you're feeling. If you're feeling quite all right, you could deepen all the way to resting the forehead down. Taking into consideration the whole body. Not only thinking about a shape and what that needs to look like. It doesn't need to look like anything at all. Just surrendering yourselves into the abilities that your body is offering you today. And noticing where the thoughts are going in that process. Trying to surrender into what your body is able and willing to do at this very moment. Acknowledging that within the stillness and the hold of a shape, all sorts of thoughts arise. Watch them for their truthfulness. Considering their peacefulness. To release, come back up onto the forearms, even onto the hands, and roll over onto the left side of the hip to sit upon. Then bring the right leg forward and place the foot down in front of the shin, which hopefully is available to all. If you want to take it further, you can step the foot to the outside of your left leg. Take a hold of your knees and just sit up tall, grounding through the sit bones. Then let your right hand fingertips plant down behind as you inhale. And then with the exhalation, go into your twist. Feel free to find your own variations. I will increase a little bit by bringing the elbow around the knee and will hold right here, but you could go with elbow to the outside of the knee or even into a bind. Considering the sensations around the right side of the buttocks and the abdominal area as you breathe to hold. With your next inhale, turn your head forward. And with the exhale, unravel the whole shape. Let your legs come out long in front of you. If your space isn't quite that warm today, put your socks on, put your jumpers on. We will leave our legs extended and take an inhale to bring the arms forward as well. On the exhale, take your hands to the heart and find your way slowly down onto the ground. Reaching up with your legs and reaching up with your hands. Finding a little bit of movement. Your limbs now to move freely in a way that feels nourishing to your joints, but keeping your hands and your feet the highest point. So we're also getting a little of the benefits of an inversion. The more you choose to move here, the more you're engaging into your core as well. You could, after a little while of movement, then find that as a moment of rest, where your shoulders drop towards the floor, where your hips are heavy, and toes and fingers still pointing upwards. Take a deep, conscious, full yogi breath in. And out to have another in-breath like this. And then hug both knees into the chest when you're breathing out. Leave that good squeeze. You could lift your nose to the knees now or just rock a little bit from side to side as a last movement before coming into Shavasana. Please use all your props that you enjoy for Shavasana, such as the bolsters, the blankets, cushions, eye bags, whatever you find is helping you to relax and stay warm. Allowing yourself to do as much or as little as possible to then find a stillness within that shape. As we come to this final shape of the practice, notice your likes or dislikes. For some, that's the most favorite part of every practice. For others, it's right the opposite. No matter whether it's your most favorite or least favorite thing in a yoga class, take a moment to reflect on the thoughts just around this shape and consider their truth. Then let that go. And for a moment, just watch the breath that flows. Satya, or truthfulness. Second, yama. There's yamas and there's niyamas, and together they help us to live our lives. They provide ways in which we can not only build a better relationship with the world around us, but with ourselves too. And if we can't be honest with ourselves first, we cannot really be honest in any other part of life. We can use a daily practice to help us unidentify with irrational thoughts. Simply take some time observing each thought as it arises, watching it as it passes, without getting caught up in it. Don't worry if it seems difficult. It's called a practice for a reason. Learning and accepting that all emotions and situations come and go and are in fact not unchangeable or true. Helps us come to terms with the fact that life isn't as complicated as it might seem sometimes. Patanjali's Yoga Sutras say, to one established in truthfulness, actions and their results become subservient, which ultimately means that by continuing to practice honesty, our life experience become the results of this honesty and truth, and no longer based on fear or ignorance. If you enjoy the rest, there's no good reason why you couldn't stay there. So if you prefer to stay in Shavasana, please do. Otherwise, there's time now to deepen your breath and bring back some gentle movement. Before rising into a seated shape, and bringing the hands together in Anjali Mudra in front of the chest. Keep yourself upright and tall to begin with. Let's take a deep breath in and out together. And let the next breath in prepare you for an Om. Lift your heart gently and bow your head lightly to the heart. Inviting yourself foremost to be honest with yourself, so that you can bring honesty into your whole life. From that place, we extend into the community we built. Namaste.